What's up, guys? I didn't see you there. Well, welcome to episode 1 of the coronavirus greenhouse update with Mr. Discern. Let's get going. Okay, guys, so we are now in the greenhouse. As you can see, everything's looking pretty good so far. Nothing's underwater, nothing's drying out too much. So, like I said, I've been here just about every day, watering the plants. They're starting to look healthy. Could use a little more sun, but we'll get there. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start going over some of the different things that are happening out here while you guys are gone, just so you guys can kind of stay updated. First things first, got to make sure everything gets some water. Okay, so this guy's name is Archie. It's actually Miss Day's plant. So Day, if you are watching this, rest assured we are taking good care of your plant. Okay, so what we got here are a couple of plants called Angelonia. Okay, they're going to produce these really nice flowers. But you can see this guy looks very different from this guy, right? This guy's got a much better shape to him, right? He's starting to develop outwards, right? Whereas this guy is just growing straight up and down, okay? So what we're gonna do in order to make sure this guy ends up looking more like this guy is we are gonna do a method called pinching. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Basically what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this upward growth and we're just gonna pinch the top off. So I just took the top off of this guy. Now, instead of growing up, he's gonna have to grow out a little bit. So we're going to make it stop growing straight up and down, and we're going to start making it grow outward. So I'm going to start pinching all of these Angelonia here to make sure that they start growing outward instead of upward. So we're going to end up pinching a lot of these plants over here. So here we have some Bidens, right? We're going to pinch this guy too to make sure it also has that nice bushy growth instead of straight up and down. So we got another one right here. Just pinch that right off. And there you go. That's all there is to it. So pinching sounds pretty easy until you realize that all of these plants have to be pinched. And that is going to take quite a while. So now that we've got all of our plants pinched, the next thing we need to do is apply some insecticide. So we're going to be using a granular, slow release systemic insecticide, as opposed to what we were previously using, which is a contact spray insecticide. So we'll be going over the difference between those two in just a second. So, up until now, what we've been using to control insects in the greenhouse, besides our natural controls of ladybugs, has been Southern Ag Naturalite Insecticide Control. This is a spinosad-based insecticide. So spinosad is a chemical that is a mimic of the venom used by spiders to capture and paralyze insects that they catch in their webs. So this is what we've been using. This is a spray that we've been using. So it essentially kills the bugs on contact. So what we're going to be using today is this Marathon 1% granular. So what this insecticide is it's not a spray. It's actually more of a powder. So you can see it's a bunch of little grains or granules, right, that contain the insecticide. Now what we're going to do with that is we're going to apply it to the top of the soil so that it works its way into the root system and is absorbed by the plants. So once it's absorbed, the plants will now have it inside them. So if insects come in contact with the plant or try to feed on the plant, they will ingest the insecticide and die. So it's a really effective way to control insects in a horticultural ornamental greenhouse. So now that we've got it measured out, all we're going to do is we're going to gently apply the grains all across the surface of the soil. That way, when we water it, it'll be watered evenly into the soil and absorbed by the roots of the plant. So the reason we're applying this insecticide is because we've got some insects that have invaded our greenhouse and have started basically sucking out the juices of our plants. So the reason that we don't want that is that these insects can carry diseases that can then infect our plants. So you can see this guy, this is a cucumber leaf, right? Or maybe a summer squash, I'm not really sure. Someone didn't label it. But you can see the damage from the insects, and you can also see some effects of disease on this plant. So because of this, we're going to apply this insecticide. Now, we wouldn't apply it to this plant particularly, or any of these over here, because these are not ornamental plants. These are edible plants, and we don't want the insecticide getting into the fruit that they produce. So the only plants that we're going to apply that granular insecticide to are our ornamental, non-edible plants. So I just realized I wasn't very clear with a couple of the terms that I gave you guys. So when I say contact insecticide, what I mean by that is it kills the insects when it touches them, right? So our spray insecticides, those are going to be contact, because when they contact the insect dies. Now the ones we're applying today are called a systemic insecticide. So the reason it's called systemic is because it works its way into the plant system, right? So the plant absorbs the insecticide. And so now that it's in the plant system, any insects that feed on that plant will ingest that insecticide. So we call it systemic. Let's go through a list of the 5 plants I'm most excited about for the plant sale. Coleus, chocolate mint, Coleus, begonia, surprise, it's Coleus again. Okay, so one thing we've been working on is our evaporative cooler. We just got it fixed, so I want to show you how it works and then how we cool the greenhouse in general. Alright, so the first part of our system is we've got this tank full of water, and inside this tank we have a pump. That pump is going to take that water and it's going to pump it all the way up this pipe right here, okay? And what's going to do is this is going to distribute the water all across our cooler. So this entire cooler is going to be filled with water. Now, as that water trickles down, it's going to start to filter through these little holes, right? It's kind of like cardboard, you can see. And so what that's going to do is it's going to give it lots of surface area to expose it to the heat in the greenhouse. When water gets heated up, it evaporates. That evaporated water is then going to exit, leaving cold air behind. Just like when you're boiling water, it takes heat to turn that water into steam, right? When that water absorbs that heat and turns into water vapor, it's going to evaporate, leaving behind cold air. So, in order to get that cold air from the back of the greenhouse throughout the rest of the greenhouse, we've got this big fan on the front end of the greenhouse. So this fan is going to pull all of that cold air from the back of the greenhouse all the way to the front. So you've got a constant flow of cool air coming through the greenhouse. Okay, so we're gonna hook up the evaporative cooler now so you can see what it looks like while it's actually running. It's gonna be super embarrassing if this doesn't work. Okay, so now that we got it plugged in, you can hear the water turning on. It's starting to move up the pipe, and it's gonna start trickling down. So you can see it starting to come through into the cooler. Those lines of water, so it's going to start spreading out throughout the cooler, and you can see it's starting to trickle down, and soon it will fill up the entire cooler. So over here you can feel, well, I can feel, you can't feel, it's a lot cooler over here now that we got water flowing through it. So tomorrow I'm going to be potting up these guys. These are our succulents and cacti, so we need to get these potted up. I've got to make a special cactus blend for them, but they will be taken care of tomorrow, first thing. Okay guys, so that was the first greenhouse update. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll probably make another one by next week. So until then, let me know if you have any questions. Make sure you're doing your work and wash your hands. Stay isolated, stay safe. Have a great rest of your week.